Hey guys,
Hello.
good morning. I hope you don't mind if I have my coffee.
Go for it.
How are you?
Oh, thank God. How you guys doing? I guess this is the end of the week for Joy and the beginning for the rest of you. Very good, very good. Okay, I guess we'll wait another minute, see if we have anyone else joins. Just gonna call up some files to share the screen. Okay. There are actually two topics I want to do today. I'm going to try and squeeze them into one shear. Trying to figure out which to do first. I think we'll do Birkat HaShachar first. Okay, we'll wait 30 more seconds. And we'll get moving.
How was your Shabbos?
How's the Shabbos? Nice. I mean, we don't go anywhere. But it's nice. Listen, everyone's still home. And we're enjoying it. I think I've perfected making challah. Listen, for weeks we didn't go out to buy. So at this point, we figured it out. I used, that Cheryl posted some recipe, like I think right before Pesach, maybe, right? There was like some challah thing for the school. And that's it. We're homemade challah addicts now.
Wow, does Papa Melech deliver?
I'm sorry?
Does Papa Melech deliver? It's tough.
So the truth is they do deliver. They started delivering post-Pesach. But, once the kids experience like homemade challah, I think that they're addicted. They don't really want to go back to other challahs. But, no, we're okay. Thank God. There's talk now of some of the yeshivot and midrashot being allowed to like resume, but under these crazy guidelines, like dividing the school into what they call capsules, like little groups that basically exist on their own within the school campus for like 2 weeks. And then all those capsules can like merge together into one program for another 4 weeks. And at first they said that no teachers could go, and all teaching would be Zoom. Now they're saying teachers could come, and maybe they have hazmat suits, so they have to be behind curtain. I don't know. It's not clear. So I don't know if that's going to happen. Like my daughter's in Migdal Oz. There are all these diunim. Like, is it going to happen in Migdal Oz or not? I know it's a little too late.
They might be bringing Hadass back.
I'm sorry?
They might be bringing Hadass back.
Right, exactly. It's the same thing, Migdal Oz and Hadass. Is Lindenbaum built for that? I guess. Can you have like 3 or 4 groups in the building isolated? It would be hard.
Well, so That's what they're trying to figure out. That also might do it like one group at a time.
One group, but
What
how
if,
does that
like,
really
they each
help?
get 2 weeks?
What?
Like they each get 2 weeks?
Yeah. But like
That's
they're trying to figure out the logistics because there's also Amlat and soon to be me and Tari in the building, and we're not part of that.
Wait, so you're definitely gonna go back to the building? That's what you're thinking of? Interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, would you have to isolate, or they're like you wouldn't have to do that?
No.
Okay.
We never because we wouldn't be considered students. We would be considered members of the household.
Okay. So you're in any way. The question is whether Hadass will like find a way to go back. Look, for the students, it could be nice to have like a final 6 weeks, Shavuos. But apparently, a lot of them don't want to do it. Like they don't want to, like they all have boyfriends. Say they can't leave for 6 weeks.
Paladins want to leave her family.
They don't leave their families. So I don't know. All very interesting. I don't think that's what they're talking about for next year, though. But they sent out a letter to parents already about next year. Didn't say much.
What did they say?
Just that they're hoping to start, August, whatever. Elul's very, very early next year. They're preparing for all scenarios. There's plenty of room in the building if people have to be quarantined, and they're not doing Poland in the beginning of the year and stuff like that. I don't know, all up in the air. I don't know.
Do you think they would start on Zoom if they had to, or just postpone the year?
I'm sorry?
Do you think they would start on Zoom if they had to, or just delay the start?
I think it's a good question. I can't speak for anyone. I have no idea. But I'll put it this way. If it was like, if there was some decision, like we're definitely starting, but like we're all going to start, I don't know, September 10th and not August 20th, or we're going to start right after the Chagim, maybe they would Zoom. I don't know.
So Rabbanit Saris told me that if there are flights, if students can get flights to Israel, then she said like they're going to start on time, even if it means everyone quarantines for the first 2 weeks.
Right. Meaning they just come in and they everyone's in the building for 2 weeks.
Come straight to quarantine.
Right. The only technical sort of funny part would be like, where do teachers fit in? Like, can teachers come in? Do they Zoom into quarantine students? I don't know. But all very interesting, sort of. I don't know. We live in a wild time. I don't know what to tell you.
No, do you have a flight booked back to America?
I'm sorry?
What?
I said, sorry. No, do you have a flight booked back for America?
Nope.
Wait, but no, you're here, and Mia, you're both here, right? Do you have, so you're here through the summer, no plan to leave, right? Okay, so that's good. That's good.
I'm not leaving this country until I have a Brandeis College campus to go to.
Until you have a camp, well, what does that mean? Meaning, do they know if they're starting on time? Nobody knows yet whether they're starting on time.
So I don't.
Right. All right. I don't know. The truth is that Israel actually is, thank God, doing okay. It's like America that's having a lot of trouble. Who knows? Like, I don't know. Like, will Israel want Americans coming? I don't know. I don't think I want Americans coming.
I worry about that. Or I wonder if they're just going to set up a bunch of government quarantine facilities like at the airport and you just stay there for 2 weeks.
Wait, say that again? That what?
I wonder if they would just like set up a bunch of government quarantine facilities right near the airport and just like everyone goes there.
That's what they already did. Anyone who lands in Israel gets on a bus straight to a quarantine hotel in Tel Aviv.
Right, that's the way it is now. I think that you have to either prove, first of all, right now you could only come if you're a citizen, but let's say they let tourists, you have to prove that you have a place to quarantine.
Right, I just like, it's just so sad to me that like I literally don't have permission to enter Israel right now. Like, can you believe that we got to a situation where Jews cannot enter Israel?
That's pretty wild, no? I don't know.
Like, I emailed my consulate and they were like, well, not exactly.
There are all these articles about whether there's going to be like an aliyah boost, like twofold. Like, will Israelis living in America, apparently some of them are like, okay, it's time to go back, and whether Americans like would just make aliyah. I don't know about that. I'm curious. And what would be the motivations? Would it be like an economy or
out of necessity?
Sorry?
I might be making aliyah out of necessity. If Brandeis doesn't work out, I guess I'm making aliyah.
I don't know whether you're the one they're thinking about in these statistics, though. I think they're thinking of, families getting on planes and coming. I don't know. I really don't know. I saw this exciting piece of news a second ago. 1 second. That Sarah was here. Is she here?
G'day.
Why can't I see you? 1 second. I have to make my window larger. 1 second. How do I do that? I have got to. Oh, there you are.
Hello.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
I didn't see you pop up. I thought maybe I rejected you as opposed to letting you in. So,
no, that would be sad. No, Rabbanit Sally just sent a message, and we have like an Australian bug rock group, and she said that this year had just started. I'm like, great, I need to learn Hilchot Tefila. Sorry if I'm crashing, everyone. It's so nice to see you all.
No, we're happy to have you here. I'm just trying to figure out how.
It would be nice to see you too.
Just trying to figure out how to get my window larger so I can get all of you in. Why can't I figure out how to do that? I don't know. I'm such not a good Zoom person. Okay. Wait, you know what? Let me try one more thing, and then we'll start. First of all, you guys have the screen open in front of you that I opened? It's there, right? Okay. I'm just trying to open the people thing here. No, I don't want to do that. Manage participants. I will never figure this out. Okay, we're going to start. Okay, I need one more sip of my coffee. Okay, very good. Okay, so let's learn a little bit. Last time we had a shir Netilat Yadayim. Again, we're just starting from the beginning, and the topic, of course, is Hilchot Tefila, and I think it's something that we could all use a bit of help with. At least maybe I'm just speaking for myself. We said Netilat Yadayim. We started with, first of all, because it's chronologically the first thing we do in the morning, but also there were certain elements of Netilat Yadayim that were very connected to Tefillah, whether it be just preparing for Tefillah. There was this beautiful idea of the Rashba that in the morning you wash your hands like the Kohen in the Mikdash that washes his hand before the day of serving God. And therefore, like, our entire lives are viewed, as a parallel to that. Like, you wake up in the morning and wash your hands like the Kohen, like we're about to serve God for the day. I thought that was a beautiful idea. Now we're going to move on to two more topics that are, you might call them pre-davening topics, which I want to briefly talk about. One is Birkot HaShachar. The other is Birkot HaTorah. So I was sort of debating which to do first. I still haven't really decided, but apparently Birkot HaShachar is on the screen. So it looks like we're going to do that one first. So let's start Birkot HaShachar. The Gemara in Masechet Brachot of Samach Amud Bet lists all the what we call the Birkot HaShachar. And the truth is that if you open the Siddur, tell me whether I experience it different than you guys do, but I sort of view there being like two sets of brachot in the morning. There's like that Asher Yatzar Elokai Neshama Birkot HaTorah unit, and then the Birkot HaShachar, like Asher Natan Lasech Vivina until Hamavir, whatever. Is that what you guys experience as well? Like in your Siddurim? Maybe like Chabad taught it differently over there, but so in the Gemara, it doesn't really appear that way. But anyway, if you look at the Gemara, it says Ki mita'ara omer, implying like the first thing you say when you get up is Elokai nishama shenatata bi tohorahi. It's interesting, like in our sort of tradition, we've sort of replaced that with like Modeh Ani. Part of the reason was a discomfort with saying brachot and Shem Hashem while a person is like still in their bed. You know what I'm saying, hasn't washed their hands yet. So, but what's described by the Gemara is literally like you wake up and like you're still like in bed and you say Elokai nishama shenatata bi tohorahi. That's actually pretty beautiful, I think. Ki shama kol tarnagola, when you hear the sound of the tarnagol is a rooster. Rooster, who makes the sound in the morning? Roosters, right? Asher natan lasech vivina. Ki patach eine, when you open your eyes, you say pokeach ivrim. Ki taritz v'ativ, when you I guess sit up, you say matir asirim. Ki lavish, when you get dressed, you say malbish aromim. Ki zakif, when you stand up, you say zokef kifufim. Ki nachit la'ara, when you like put your feet on the ground, you say roka aretz alamayim ki maske borcha mechin misadi gavar. I think that means when you put your shoes on. No, I'm sorry, it doesn't mean that. Ki maske, maybe when you start walking, I'm not 100% sure. Ki siye misane lema shasalikal tzarki.
On the ground.
I'm sorry?
I think it's when you put your feet on the ground.
That's not the one before, ki nachit la'ara?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not sure what ki maske means. Ki asar hamaine omer, that's your belt. You put ozer yisrael b'gvura. Ki pari sudra rishe, when you put something on your head. Oter yisrael b'tifara. Ki mashi yade, this is what we spoke about last week. Asher kedeshanu, right al netilat yadayim. Ki mashi ape, when you like rub your face or wash your face, whatever, you say hamavir chevle sheina meinayit nama me'afapai. There are a few of them that were added later. Hanoten La'ef Koach is a later bracha. The three, Shelo Asani Eved, those appear later as well. Those aren't in the original group. And that's what we got. Those are the Birkot HaShachar. And I guess what I want to talk about before we do Birkot HaTorah, I guess we'll talk about these first. First of all, what type of brachot are they? How do we say them? When were we meant to say them? So what I want to start by pointing out is actually a very interesting machlokat. The way the Rambam describes these brachot, which is actually pshat in the Gemara, he says, I mean the Rambam here, Shmona Asar brachot elu. He says there are 18 brachot, ve'ein lahem seder. There's no order to them. El mavarech kol achad mehem al davar she'bracha b'shvilo b'shato. When you experience it, you make the bracha. What does that mean? Ketzal harishak chagar chaguro. If you're on your bed and you put your belt on, you say Ozer Yisrael b'gvura, Shema kol tarnagol. Then you hear the rooster. You say, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's literally in the order of experiencing things. And let's say you don't experience it. Let's say you don't hear a rooster. L'chein bracha uv'chol bracha mehem lo nitchay ba ina mavarich. If you don't put a belt on, you don't say that bracha. If you don't hear the rooster, you don't say the bracha. You know, if you sleep in your clothing and you don't put on new clothing, you don't say malbish aramim. And if halach yachef, and if you walk barefoot, you don't say shasali kol sarki. By the way, he also writes that on Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av, where they didn't wear shoes and they didn't wash, then they also didn't say certain brachot. Anyway, that's the position of the Rambam. It's very interesting. Obviously, I'm unaware of anyone who does that nowadays. I actually had a teacher in high school who was like what you might call like a Rambamist. And I think he did this. He tried to sort of encourage us to do this. I've never met anyone that does this. It's not the practice, meaning, as we'll see in a second, but there's something very beautiful about it if you think about it. I mean, like literally as you're going through your morning actions. Now, some of us aren't conscious during a lot of these actions until we have our cup of coffee. So that may be true. But the way the Rambam is describing it, like every action, you're constantly praising God. Very, very interesting. I think theoretically it's something very powerful. In any case, that was the Rambam, the tradition he quotes. There's a second tradition quoted by Tosfot. And clearly this was like the Ashkenazic tradition. And he writes, Ki shama kol tarnagola. That's the Tosfot. I'm over here. But huadin afilu lo shama. He says, even if you didn't hear the rooster, ein bracha zu ela lahavchana al hanat ha'ora. The bracha has nothing to do with roosters. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you hear a rooster and you make the bracha. The bracha is about the ability to distinguish between the light of day and night. I'm saying the language of the bracha talks about roosters, but it's not about roosters, and therefore we all make the bracha. And that would be true regarding all the bracha. Bracha is not about me putting on a belt. You know what I'm saying? It's about, each bracha is parallel to some type of a natural / religious phenomenon that we are praising God for. If you look at the Rush over here on the left side, the Rush continues. Ha'idna means nowadays. Nahagu levarich ila brachot al seder achar shenat al yadav. So he says the custom developed, remember the Rush is already like in the 13th, 14th century, where things are flipped. Like we wake up and we're washing our hands. If you remember from last week, by the way, we had this whole discussion, like when are you washing your hands? The Zohar says you wash your hands when you wake up right when you wake up. The Rush, other people think it has to do with Tefila. Well, what's interesting is that in the Gemara, you don't wash your hands until after all these brachot, kimashe yadeh. And that's why the Rush is pointing out here that we have our custom developed in the opposite way, meaning first we wash our hands. Why? He doesn't say because of ruach ra. That was last week's discussion, right? Why? He says, meaning you shouldn't say brachot before you wash your hands, right? Your hands are unclean. Anyway, so that's what he claims. So he claims basically you wash your hands and you say the brachot. Let me just mention, later on the Rambam quotes a practice which apparently he was already aware of. Nagu ha'am berov areinu levarik brachot elu zu achazu b'beit HaKnesset. He says it's already customary. Now he says, what does areinu mean in the Rambam? And he says in our cities. So where did the Rambam live? Rambam lived in Egypt, right? Meaning obviously the Rambam started out in Spain. He had to flee Spain because of the Almohade invasion, right? And he ended up in Egypt. But when he says Areinu, he usually means like Sephardic lands. Like I don't think he means the Egyptian cities. He means like Sephardic lands, like what he remembers from Spain. And so he says it's customary in many places to say the brachot b'Beit HaKnesset, like as part of davening in the morning. Bein nitchayvu behem, bein li no nitchayvu behem. Meaning apparently the Tosfot practice had made its way over to Sephardic lands. And look what he says. V'ta'ut hu, meaning, and it's a mistake. Ve'ein roi lasot kein, don't do it. That's obviously not our custom, and our custom is to say these brachot. If you look at the Beit Yosef, when he summarizes, he says them in the bold print, Eliyesh lomar sheseder brachot halalo birkot hashavach al minhago shalalam. Meaning the brachot are clearly birkot hashavach, right? Meaning like, I don't know if we've discussed this, but there are 3 types of brachot. That's the way the Rambam describes it. We have a birkat ha-mitzvah. We say a bracha before performing a mitzvah. We have a birkat ha-nehanin, right? Before benefiting from something, we say a bracha. Like before eating, right? Or before smelling something. And then we have birkat ha-shavach. He says these are birkat ha-shavach. Now the truth is, there are 2 types of birkat ha-shavach. There's a type of birkat ha-shavach that we recite after experiencing something. Meaning after we see lightning, we say a bracha. After we eat, we say a bracha. And then there are brachot that we say, it's like we preempt the experience. It's a daily blessing that we say, that we praise God for a certain phenomenon. That's what he says. These brachot, by the way, the Rambam thinks these brachot are like that. After I experience something, I say the bracha. But our custom is not that way. The Beit Yosef says, rather, they're general brachot that are instituted upon minhago sh'olam. It's a natural phenomena. Afilu lo shama, even if you don't hear the sechvi, the rooster, you make the bracha. And that is that's our custom, but I think like a proper study of these brachot, adds a little bit to the beginning of the day, washing the hands, like the Rashba said, in terms of preparing
Uh-oh.
That's sad. Hi, guys.
Sarah, it's so exciting to see you.
So exciting to see all of you. This is so fun.
How are you?
Wait, are you guys? Me, I know you're in Israel, but Joy and Noah, where are you guys?
I'm home. Yeah, it's very sad, but it's also good.
Wait, so what time is it?
Only like 11.
Okay. That's funny. It's a really different day.
What time
Noah,
is it?
where are you? Also at home?
No, I'm in Israel.
Ah, beautiful. Whereabouts?
Renana.
Cool. At family or something.
At one of my good friends.
It's really nice. It's cool that they're still doing these shiurim. Hi, Mia. Hey. Are you in the kitchen?
Just
I
like
am in the
attic.
kitchen.
Oh, sorry.
No, go.
No, I was not saying anything important.
Guys, I learned how to do split screen a few weeks ago. It's been really great for Zoom. I should have more advanced computer skills, but I don't. So,
Wow, I feel like it's really hard to do your like medical classes online because weren't you supposed to have a hospital like intern or something this semester? Yikes.
yeah. We were on placement, and they pulled us off about a month ago, maybe like 6 weeks ago now. But we're actually starting back a little bit. Like we're going back for 2 or 3 hours this week, which is really exciting.
Right, I heard New Zealand and Australia are opening back up.
Yeah, that's the talk, and it seems to be happening slowly. So hopefully, it
My
goes
school
well.
went back.
Yeah,
My school went back last week. Like they were for Yom Ha'atzmaut, they had like stuff at school. It's crazy.
That's crazy. Wow.
Australia's doing it so well. Like in WA, where I'm from, there has been like there's 9 people who've died, full stop, and like they've had like 1 new case a day. I think they went like a few days without any new cases.
Hey guys, I lost you somehow.
Yeah, you disappeared.
It was my fault, you're saying. Yeah, well, I don't know. The whole computer froze. Did you hear me saying it's frozen? No. Okay. So my apologies for that. I'm not sure what we did last. Anybody remember?
You were talking about the rush.
Oh, come on. I didn't. You didn't hear me after the rush?
I think you just finished the Beit Yosef. Maybe you're coming back to the
Oh
room.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, it was. Yeah, no, absolutely right.
But
Sorry.
I also missed what you said about the rush, so I don't.
Wow. Okay. So 1 second. I'm going to quickly reload that page.
Yeah, you said Areno.
When I spoke about Arenu. You're kidding. Wow. Okay.
No, there was a bit after that. I'm sorry. Ignore me.
Okay, 1 second. We're back. Okay. So anyway, I think we got the gist. We had a machloket between between the Rambam and like the Tosfot, and the Rambam versus the Tosfot and the Rush regarding what type of bracha. And I at this part I think you missed. I said there's definitely a type of what we call birkot hashevach. There's some type of birkot hashevach that we say after we experience something, like we hear lightning and we see lightning, we hear thunder, we say bracha. We eat, we say a bracha. That's a birkot hashevach. And there's some type of birkot hashevach that Chazal established that we should say every day over some type of natural phenomenon. And that seems to be the machloka, where the Rambam believes that everything, if we put on clothes, we say malbish harim, where the Tosfot and the Rush And that's what the Beit Yosef says at the end. It says no, meaning these are brachot that were established every day because they represent, something in the world that we should be praising God for every morning when we get up. And I said that's our practice. Okay, let's keep going. What's the proper time for saying these brachot? So, some of you may have been waking up a little later than usual over the past few months. No judging going on here. How late can one say the Birkot HaShachar? Like, what if one really sleeps late? Like, what if you sleep until?
Say them all day.
I'm sorry?
Can't you say them all day?
Well, that's my question. Like, we call them Birkot HaShachar, but are they morning brachot, or are they just like wake up brachot, or are they just daily brachot? Like, when are we saying these brachot? So there's actually a bit of a machloket, and part of the issue centers around a case of avelut. What does that mean? Let's say a person is an onain. An onain is a person in between the death and the burial. They're exempt from mitzvot, right? They don't say brachot, they don't daven until the burial. So they wake up in the morning of the burial, and they don't daven. It's very jarring for a mourner not to do that, but that's the halacha of aninut. And but let's say the funeral is like, there's sort of two questions. Meaning, one question could be, even if the funeral was early in the morning, do we say that there's sort of like a critical moment early in the morning? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you weren't obligated when you woke up, then like you're patur the rest of the day. And the secondary question would be, even if you're obligated the rest of the day, what does that mean? What if it was like a 3:00 in the afternoon funeral? You know what I'm saying? So at 4:30, like often funerals are like later in the day. So people find themselves doing funerals like right before a shkia. I don't know if they've ever been to a funeral like that. And then people like run, they try and daven mincha. So for the avel, they're like trying to squeeze. So it's an interesting question in general regarding avelot. Like, what happens to the avel immediately after the funeral? They're meant to sit shiva, but they're also meant to like make things up. You know what I'm saying? Like, what tefillot do they make up? A classic question is Havdalah. You know what I'm saying? There are many onanim every Sunday who were an onin on Motzei Shabbat, and they didn't do Havdalah on Motzei Shabbat, and the funeral's on Sunday. So do they do Havdalah on Sunday after the funeral or not? These are all classic machlokot. So regarding Birkot HaShachar, you have this famous machloket from the Rav Pa'olim. The Rav Pa'olim was a Sephardic posek. I believe he's a Ben Ish Chai, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure. And he talks about this issue, and he mentions that there's a machloket. He says the Magen Avram, he quotes as saying that Birkot HaShachar should only be said in the morning. And he doesn't like that. He says, I'm in the bold print, V'hashta lefi hai svara, kol hayom hu zmanehu. But the whole day is the time of Birkot HaShachar. They're just called morning brachot, because like we say them in the morning. Shachol levarech otam, ve'onin shelo birech ba'aninut. And the onin that didn't say them when the onin was an onin before the funeral, yachol levarech achar kvura, 4:00 in the afternoon, after the funeral, the onin, you know what I'm saying, sits down and says all the Birkot HaShachar and Birkot HaTorah, and he can't say Shachrit anymore, so he says Mincha. V'nimsa kol hayom hu zmanehu she'achol levarech otam ve'onin shelo birech ba'aninut yachol levarech achar kvura. The lava chiyuv edidei nitkanu brachot elu, because the chiyuv is not, like when I experienced putting on my shoes, I was an onin. That's what the Rambam would say. So seemingly the Rambam would say, if I was patur from the bracha when I put my shoes on, so of course I don't say the bracha later. He says that's not the way we perceive the brachot. We perceive the brachot as like a daily obligation, where Chazal instituted these 18 brachot that we say every morning. Kadesh Tomar, Kevan Shaya Patur B'Shat Chovato Niftul Gami. Ella, what's our custom? Amin Hago Shalolam Nitkanu Lahachi Achakvur Hu Mechuyav LaOmram. And therefore, after the burial, you'd be obligated to say them. Binidon ha'onein horeti lahalacha l'maseh. Says that's the way I paskin for a certain onein. Shemar brachot Birkot HaShachar kavuro to lo k'Magen Avram. I'm switching a little bit to the next page. The Mishnah Berurah quotes some of these sources, and then we'll sum up. He says, Ayin b'Sefer Ma'amar Mordechai. He quotes a book called Ma'amar Mordechai, and then Nahar Shalom. There's one called Kol HaBrachot Hu Kol Hayom B'Diavad. That B'Diavad, you can say all of these brachot all day. And he says the Vilna Gaon, the Gra, also agreed with that. Now look at this. The Hosif Sham, the Vilna Gaon said, Afilu balayla ad shata shenahu chiyuvam. Meaning, let's say you slept really, 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 really late, and then you woke up, and I don't know, you daven mincha, and then you ate, I don't know what dinner and breakfast would be, like lekfist, or whatever you're saying, and then it's already dark, and then you're like, oh my God, I forgot to daven Birkat HaShachar. So the Gra would say you could do it. Anyway, umikol makom, he writes, lechatchila tzarich lizaher shelo la'acher habracha yoter midal shod. He says, listen, the Mishnah Berurah rules the proper practice is you should do them before the fourth hour. What's the significance of the fourth hour? Because we view the fourth hour as the window within which preferably one should do tefillah, the earliest Sosman tefillah. B'di Eved we say till Chatzot, but we say till the fourth hour. If you're lenient and you rely upon the previous people that he quoted, right? That was like the Gra and all those people. He said, even Achar Chatzot ein lemechot biyadan. He says you shouldn't criticize them, and one can do that b'di Eved. And he quotes in the footnotes here. He says that one can do that. That's our practice, I think. If our practice is hopefully not to sleep so late, but I think certainly after Levaya, we generally tell people to say the brachot. I have to see what my book says. I don't know. I don't have it here. I think that's what I wrote. That people should say Birkat HaShachar. Okay.
Can I just clarify what you just said? The lechatchila is to the fourth hour to Chatzot, did you say?
The Mishnah, listen, in general, meaning we prefer to say even the Shemona Esrei before the fourth hour. You know what I'm saying? Just maybe a 15-second summary. We have this idea of Sof Zman Tefillah. There's machloka whether it's the fourth hour or the sixth hour. The way what's implied by the Gemara, and at least we seem to paskin, is that lechatchila one should do Shemona Esrei by the end of the fourth hour. But if not, one could say Shemona Esrei till Chatzot, which is midday. After that, we can't say Shachrit anymore. You have to say two minchas. So he says lechatchila, the Birkat HaShachar. You know what I'm saying? It's a different tfisa. Like it's fundamentally like my view of Birkat HaShachar as morning brachot. Therefore, they should go along with like the morning prayers, right? Or like they're all day brachot. And obviously, ideally, we say them in the morning, but b'di Eved, they can be said all day.
But if you didn't say Birkat HaShachar, wouldn't it be problematic to daven because you wouldn't have said Birkat Torah?
We'll talk. Hopefully, we'll do Birkat Torah today as well if we get to it. It's a good question. I mean, I don't know if the Mishnah Berurah is sort of talking about a person who davened already. Birkat Torah has its own complicated issue. I mean, you could daven without Birkat Torah. That's not the problem. The problem is that after you daven, you might not be able to say Birkat Torah because Ahava Rabbah, the bracha we say right before Shema, sort of like overlaps with Birkat Torah. And there are those who believe that once you say that, Birkat Torah is sort of superfluous, and therefore you can't say them anymore. Or that you're Yotzei, so if you Yotzei Birkat Torah by saying Ahava Rabbah. But that's a separate issue. L'chadchila, we say it early. I mean, that's what we try to do. What if a person got up in the middle of the night? How early can you say the Birkat HaShachar? Meaning, I thought we called them morning brachot, but how early can one say them? So, I don't know how early we're accustomed to waking up. Sarah, are you an early riser? You seem to me like an early riser. Okay, but like before the sun is out?
During some parts of daylight savings, yeah, if it happens at the start.
Wait, is that because down in your country, like it gets it's light later, or you ever wake up at like 3 a.m. and things like that? That's not your thing.
No.
Okay.
No, but sometimes it's still dark at 7.
Like on
I've
purpose.
been waking up
On purpose.
Wait. So here's what I do Thursday nights. I'm part of this Missouri political cohort thing, and the meetings are at 3 a.m. Israel time. So I wake up for those on Thursdays. I don't do on Tuesdays because I have class and I can't do that. But I wake up Thursday at 3 a.m. and I have this meeting, and then right after the meeting I go to Mishmar, and then I daven Batik and I go to sleep.
That's very cool. Wait, but by the time you daven, it's already Vatican time. Do you know what I'm saying? It's already, yeah. So the Shulchan Aruch writes also, Hamashkim kodem or hayom. If you get it before it's light out, lomod, because you want to get up early. Sarah definitely does that. You want to get up early and you want to learn. So mevarich birkat haTorah ve'einu tzarich lachzor levarich yeshivech. So you get up early. Obviously, if you want to learn, you have to say birkat haTorah. Hamashkim kodem or hayom. Mevarich kol seder habrachot chutz mibirkot hanotein l'sech v'vina uparsha tamid. He says if you get up before it's light, you can say all the birkot hashachar except for hanotein l'sech v'vina. Because think about it, like the whole point is that the rooster the whole point of the bracha is to distinguish between the light of day and dark. So it's a little silly to say it like an hour and a half, 2 hours before there's any light. So he says that you shouldn't say. Also, parshat tamid, if we have time, we'll talk about.
Should we ask him like that? Sorry to interrupt.
So let's go. We'll see. We'll do a few more sources. And then in the Ramah, he says, L'chatchila yitol yadav kodem shivarech lomod. He says, first of all, l'chatchila, one should do netilat yadayim. V'im lo hay lo mayim. Let's say you don't have any water. Why don't you have any water? Guys, we're a little spoiled. We always have water. Imagine like you're living in like a little wooden hut in like in Poland in the winter. You wake up at like 3 a.m. and you want to learn something. And the nearest water is, I don't know, outside in the well. I don't know where it is. So, and you didn't put that little natla at the side of your bed like we spoke about last time, right? From all the, from movies. So you can make the bracha and learn even without netilat yadayim. Okay. But look at the Mishnah Berurah. So he continues, and then we'll sum up. In Lamed, he writes, "Afilo b'mashkim achar chatzot lalayla le'eze inyan v'dato lachzor lishon." Let's say you wake up after chatzot, I don't know, 1 a.m, for some reason, and then you plan is to go back to sleep. Od achar kach shenat keva, meaning you want to go back to sleep. Let's say you have a Zoom shir at like 1 o'clock. You wake up and you Zoom. Look how our whole language has changed in the past 2 months. Who would have ever thought of such a scenario? You wake up at 1, you Zoom for an hour, and then you go back to sleep until like a normal hour. Right, so he says, you can say Birkat HaShachar. When you get up in the morning, you wouldn't have to say that. Levad Birkot Elokai Neshama, except for Elokai Neshama and Hamavir Shena. That really you shouldn't do. You can say them without the Shem Hashem, but really when you wake up in the morning, you should say them. And then the next passage, we'll sum up in a minute. He says, "V'achronim hiskimu shagam bracha ziyochol levarech." The Mishnah Berurah says there are achronim who seem to conclude that even hanotein l'sech v'vina, you could say at 4 a.m. before the sun comes up. Ach yesh yomim shelechatchila yesh lizaher shelo levarech ota kodem she'er hayom im lo yishma kol tarnagol. Some people say l'chatchila you shouldn't do it. V'davka shivarech achar ota michatzot halayla. But certainly, at least you should wait until after midnight. But before chatzot, let's say you go to sleep at like 8, you wake up at like 11 o'clock at night. He says for sure you shouldn't say it because there's nothing morning at all. You could call 4 o'clock in the morning. You can't call 11 o'clock at night morning. It's not even chatzot yet, etc. Guys, what's our practice? First of all, I don't think there's any reason if you wake up for a Zoom shir at 1 o'clock to say Birkat HaShachar if you're going back to sleep. I don't think there's any reason for that. I think if you wake up at 4 because, well, I don't know, meaning you have a tiyul, I don't know, wherever you're going. So it's, I think I mean, first of all, there's a whole other question. What's the earliest you can say Shmona Esrei? I'm saying like you can't say Shmona Esrei when it's dark out. The earliest we assume we could say Shmona Esrei is at least Alot HaShachar. I'm saying, which is what we call dawn. We'll have a separate shir about that. So it could be there's no real reason to say brachot that early. Like you just wait until you go to daven shachrit. But it's reasonable. It's reasonable to a person who wakes up 4 or 5 in the morning if they want to sort of say the morning brachot. I think they could say them. The Mishnah Berurah implies that if you want to just say all of them, especially if you're worried you're going to forget about them, you can say all of the brachot. and I think that's our custom. But before Chatzot, listen, there people wake up early. If you're I don't know, you're in a profession, you have a shift that starts at 5 in the morning. I don't know, a nurse, a doctor. I don't know. Anyway, okay. So that's in terms of waking up in the middle of the night. What if you were up all night? Do you make these brachot if you were up all night? So it's a good question. So look what he says. Mi shaya er kol alayla. The Mishnah Berurah writes, I am a Sefer Eliyahu Rava. Eliyahu Rava was, or Elia Rava we call him. He lived, did you guys go on the Poland trip? Joy didn't go, right? Most of you went? Joy, I forgot already. Joy, you went to Poland?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I thought you went to Masa. Okay. So there's this town, Tiktin, where Ada speaks. It's like Ada's town, right? Ada gives her, right? So the Elia Rabbah was from Tiktin, I think. It was a very big center in Poland. We only thought Ada was from there. But we see there are other Gedolim from Tiktin as well, including the Elia Rabbah. So I'm Elia Rabbah, Shekatav, the Birkat Elokai Nishama Birkat Hamavir Shina Ein Levarechim Hayne or Kolalayla. So he implies as follows. He says, listen, Birkat HaShachar, if you're up all night, most of them you could really say in the morning, but there's some that might be inappropriate. For example, Elokai Nishama Shenatata Bi Tohorahi, the implication of the bracha, what's the image of the bracha? Like I'm sleeping, and then I wake up, and then God restores my soul, right? That's sort of like but if you never slept, so like why are you making that bracha? Or the bracha of Hamavir Shena Me'inai, meaning the bracha is like I was sleeping, I wake up, and then God takes the sleep away from my eyes. But if you never slept, why would you make the bracha? So that's what he writes. Over Prima Gadim, V'shari Tshuva, Hishuru Devar B'tzarech Iyun. There are other achronim that like they don't know. They say I'm not sure. Umasik. Did I ever tell you guys, by the way? There's a whole discussion when coffee hit the Jewish world. Are you guys familiar with this discussion? When did coffee hit the Jewish world? So what? Apparently, there was an article a number of years ago. They traced it, like you could trace it by what do you call it? Like merchants, and it hit Sfat in like the 16th century, which is basically when all of our chevra was in Sfat, like the Arizal, the Rav Yosef Karo, and you start seeing indications that there were coffee. For example, all of a sudden people are saying like, I was up after Chatzot. Whoever stayed up after Chatzot? They were drinking coffee. Or like, I was up all night. They were drinking coffee. Or can I have coffee before davening? You know what I'm saying? Like, the coffee had a major role in terms of halacha there. So if a person is up all night, so they leave it with the tzarech iyun. And then he says, Masik b'shari tshuva. Shari tshuva is commentary in the Shulchan Aruch. Mishnah Berurah is quoting him. Meaning the proper thing to do is to go to shul or have someone who slept at night to say the brachot. And those of you who've stayed up all night on Shavuot and have gone to shul in the morning or are part of a shul minyan in the morning, know that usually the way davening begins in the morning is there's a shilech tzibor who was appointed to sleep at night sometime. I'm sure he was very sad about that appointment. And he'll say the brachot, and then everybody will have in mind to be yotzei. Shishim nishmin is a phrase from the Sechet Brachot, 60 breaths. I don't know how long it is, but his point is it's like a very, very small nap. If you doze off for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, then you can say the brachot. Now, what's interesting is that the Aruch HaShulchan writes, the Chol Birkot HaShachar, remember the Aruch HaShulchan and the Mishnah Berurah were contemporaries. They're very different, but they're contemporaries. The Aruch HaShulchan, they don't quote each other. I believe there are like 2 or 3 places the Aruch HaShulchan quotes the Mishnah Berurah, if I'm not mistaken. V'chol Birkot HaShachar Yachol Levarach B'Shitut Kodem Or Hayom. He believes that all the Birkot HaShachar one can recite before it gets light out. And then he quotes, "V'ra'iti b'shari tshuva de gam dat ha'ari levarcham gam gishinir kol halayla." And he says that he saw a view of the Arizal that even if you were up all night, you can say them in the morning. this is in practice what I would say. If you're at shul in the Shavuos program and you stay up all night and someone who slept says the brachot, it's great to listen to the brachot and you're yotzei the safek. But if you're up all night on your own, right, and there's no one to say the brachot for you, I believe that one can rely upon the Aruch HaShulchan and just daven normally. And I spoke about that last time a little bit, that one can wash the Tefillah Tadayim after going to the bathroom and getting ready for prayer. And one can say all the brachot as usual. I think that's reasonable. I think that's our practice. Okay. We went a little slower than I wanted. Okay, I'm going to say a word about korbanot, and then next time I guess we'll do Birkot HaTorah and another topic maybe. After the Birkot HaShachar, there's not a lot of stuff, but between the Birkot HaShachar and Pesukei Zimra, maybe we'll quickly map out like what's there. So I like my whiteboard. I'm getting very into it. So what's in the morning? So as I mentioned, there's like a certain, but I write very slowly on it. So like you have this group of brachot. Tell me whether this does not reflect your experience, but there's one set of brachot. And that sort of set of brachot, besides from Netilat Yadayim, will have like Elokai, Nishama, right? And then Birkot HaTorah. Some people say it in the opposite order, by the way. And I don't know, maybe Chabad does it totally different probably. But anyway, that's sort of like, and Asher Yatzar, by the way, is over here somewhere, right? Asher Yatzar, that's sort of like one set of brachot. And then you have another set of brachot, which has a more formal feeling to it. And that's what we call the Birkot HaShachar, right? The Birkot HaShachar, I guess, begin with Asher Natan Lasach Vivina, and usually end with Hamavir Sheina Meinai, ending with Gomel Chasadim Tovim L'Amo Yisrael. Again, please tell me whether this doesn't, sort of resonate with what you guys are used to. But as far as I know, these are our two groups. Then what's after that? Now, if you open the Siddur, there are lots of like other things in there, like the Akedah is in there, Akedat Yitzchak and things like that. I'm just going to give you what I think are like sort of like the main sections. Okay, here's sort of section number one. There is in that morning section. Now, those of you from previous years, that would be one of you, knows that we used to have this round robin with Ramim where we would talk about our favorite tefillah. Sarah, you remember that? Maybe the last Shabbos or I don't know. Anyway, so sorry, I spelled that wrong. So there's a tefillah here called La'olam Yehei Adam. And then after like a page, you have like the pasuk Shema, and then it ends with a bracha of Mikadesh, right? Yisrael Barabim or something like that. Are we familiar with that prayer? That is really, it's actually a beautiful prayer. I'm very makpid to say it, even if I miss other things. I just think it's beautiful. La'olam Yehei Adam Yorei Shemayim, the Seiter V'Golo. Person should always fear God in private and in public. It's a beautiful prayer. And then after that, we have like a group of korbanot. And there are like a lot of korbanot there. There's a structure to it, obviously, but there are some that are more important than others. Like if you look at the Siddur, it begins with the parsha of the Kior. The Kior is like the basin in the Mikdash. And then the Tamid. But the major ones you have there, I'm just going to give you like the highlights, are the Parshat Tamid, which we as Klal Yisrael are meant to bring the Parshat Tamid, right? That's the communal sacrifice we bring every morning. Then there's a bracha, then there's a parsha of the Bisamim, the incense that are brought. And then there's some other things, right? And then there's Ezehu Makoman. And then there's like the parak from Masechet Zvachim of Mishnayot. And then after that, there's like this Rabbi Shmuel Amar B'Shlosha Midot. Okay? We assume the most important of these korbanot is the Parshat Tamid. Therefore, for a person who doesn't have a lot of time, or just davens in a way that they don't have a lot of time, meaning they're not spending an hour, but they're like, doing the proper skeleton of davening. The korban tamid is really is viewed as important. The korban tamid, one paragraph. It's a good thing to know by heart. You can mumble to yourself, I don't know, while you're walking around your house. That's the korban tamid. So I'm going to stop this window and go back to our original window and see if it's still there, okay? So stop share. No, I have to reopen that other window. Okay. So there you go. So again, we'll do 2 more minutes and we'll break. So the Gemara Masechet Megillah and Menachot talk about the value of like saying korbanot. Amar Avraham lifnei Kadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono Shalom. Avraham Avinu already said to God, Shema chas v'shalom Yisrael chotim. He says, what if chas v'shalom, the Jewish people will sin? V'atau selahem kadur mabul v'kadur, meaning kadur hamabul, kadur haflaga, meaning maybe, are you going to destroy the world again? Like, why would I make a nation for you if you're going to destroy them? Amar Lolav, don't worry about that. So Amar Lefanav Ribono Shel Olam b'ma'ida, meaning, how am I going to know? Amar Lo kecheli egla mishalesha. Then they do the Brit Bein HaBetarim. So then he says, Amar Lefanav Ribono Shel Olam tenach bizman shebeit hamikdash kayam. I understand when there's a Beit HaMikdash. Bizman she'ein Beit HaMikdash kayam. Ma te'alehem. What's going to be with the Jewish people? They don't have a mikdash. How are they going to achieve kapara? So, by the way, you should know this is a theme in Chazal, like this idea, like, how can the Jewish people spiritually, like, exist without a mikdash? And it's an interesting topic that I think some of us have discussed before, meaning the transition from a mikdash religion to post-mikdash and tefillot, and there's a lot of stuff to discuss, but a Gemara like this reflects that. So, Amar lo kvar tikanti lehem seder korbanot. I established a Seder Korbanot, and when they read Korbanot, it's as if, whatever that means, meaning they bring Korbanot, and I will forgive their sins. And Masechet Menachot, you have a similar idea. By Tichtiv, why does it say Zot Torat HaChatat v'Zot Torat HaHasham? Kol ha'osek b'Torat Chatat ki'ilu hikriv Chatat. A person who learns and is involved in the Torah of the Chatat, it's as if you have brought a chatat. Those are some of the earlier sources that support the practice of reciting korbanot, and therefore here in the Ramah, you see in the Shulchan Aruch, the Ramah writes, if omrim parsha tamid, that we say the parsha tamid, v'yesh omrim seder hamaracha. If you look at the city, you'll find all these things. Seder hamaracha, that's Abai Amar, if shelo omra b'tzibor yochol omra b'bayit, v'lachzor parsha tamid levadim. Okay, anyway. But the minimum, the proper thing is really to say the Parshat Tamid. Anyway, but I think we'll end with that. Any questions or comments? I'm going to stop the share here. I could see people, or at least everyone. Okay, any questions or comments? Next time we'll quickly do Birkat HaTorah, then maybe we'll move quickly on to Pesukei Zimra. We'll try and finish that up next time. Okay, guys, it's a pleasure seeing all of you on this early Sunday morning. Give Bill Chizuk to wake up early and to, teach a little Torah to everyone. See Sarah out there from far away smiling. Okay, so we'll see you all next week, hopefully.
Thank you so much.
Have a good week, guys.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Bye.